welcome back to Cask 529. I'm Bryan.
And I'm Shona.
And tonight, we've recouped after our last show, which was a ton of fun. We had a great time.
We did.
Special guests. Tonight, what we're doing is the Whiskey Row series from Old Forester. And we had almost the entire line.
Right.
In fact, we had most of it on our in-house whiskey tasting night for January. Mm-hmm. But one of the bottles that Shona had on her trying to find list for 2024 was 1924.
Correct.
And thanks to our friends,
Yes. Wilson and Rotators.
Wilson and Rotators, Shona was able to acquire that bottle the other night.
Yes, so they brought that, and so now the challenge is 1924 the best in the series, since it is twice the price as the others in the series?
So what we've got,
determine that.
Complete transparency here, it's not really a true blind because I did pour them. However, that's been almost an hour ago before dinner. I have no idea what I poured where. So
Brian's memory is very short. He could have poured them 10 minutes ago and he would have forgotten.
I do have a cheat sheet. However.
So just to go over these, and I know everybody probably knows the Old Forester line, you know, the brown Foreman, all that kind of stuff. But there is one thing I want to call out on these, is that the 1870, 1897, the 1910, and the 1920 all have the same mash bill.
Oh, really?
They are all 72% corn, 18% rye, and 10% malted barley. However, this 1924 here is 79% corn. So it is 7% more corn than the rest of them. It is 11% rye, which is 7% less. So it's lower rye, higher corn. Still 10% malted barley. So I found that interesting that the other four Whiskey Row series all have the same mash bill, except the new one, the 1924.
It is really. It's interesting that those four had the same mash bill.
Yeah.
I don't find it that odd that there's one with a different mash bill. I find it odd that there's four with the same mash bill.
Correct, yes. That's because I almost didn't look it up, because I'm like, well, no, all the other ones all had the same mash bill.
Yeah.
I'm sure this one has the same mash bill too. And I'm like, nope, I want to go, I want to look. And it's different. I was really shocked by that.
Interesting. That is very interesting.
Are you ready to dig into these? I've been anxious all day.
Yeah, actually, I guess my first thing is looking at the five of them. Mm-hmm. I don't really see any notable difference in color.
I do not either.
They all look the same, which it also looks that way up here, but...
Yeah, I mean, this one looks a little darker because there's more in it, obviously.
Yeah.
But other than that, I would
So
say...
I've got your glasses numbered 1 through 5, starting on the left. Mm-hmm. So we'll start there
All
with
right.
one.
Rex is coming to join us.
Bouncing down the stairs.
So number one, I'm getting the normal caramel vanilla. Maybe a little bit of brown sugar.
Yeah, it's definitely a sweet nose,
Yeah.
without a doubt. Really creamy. Initially, did you get that at first?
Yeah, no. I'm liking this one. I'm liking the finish. I have to admit, I like all of the Old Forester Whiskey Row series.
They did really well for us on our
They
whiskey
did.
night.
This one is finishing with a little bit of a cherry note. So you know that has to be good for me. I got a little hint of tobacco, the brown sugar, maybe some molasses, normal caramel and vanillas.
I was going to say, did you say vanilla? Because I'm definitely getting that. And the maple. Not a lot of, I don't get a lot of oak note.
Just a tad, the
Yeah.
hint. It's very good.
That creamy is very, to me, the creamy is very prominent on that one.
Yeah. I am really excited to see which one. When we had our whiskey club night and we tasted the 4 in the series, they all scored relatively the same for me. They were like points.
Yeah, they
difference,
were
like
really close.
tiny points. So I am anxious to do them all in a blind and actually pick, because that night we knew what we were tasting. So
Right.
we've not done them blind to see, how they line up that way. On to number 2.
Yeah, give me 1 second. Go ahead.
Now, number 2, when I brought it to my nose, I smelled like the vanilla ice cream, like that creamy, milky vanilla. And that's the flavor I'm still getting on the nose. Not as strong of flavors in
No,
this one.
and not that one had a lot of heat, but 2 has virtually no heat.
So the proof points on these range, the lowest is 90, the highest is 115. The 1870 is a 90 proof, the 1897 is a 100 proof, the 1910 is a 93 proof, the 1920 is the 115 proof, and then the 1924 is a 100 proof. So we have 2 that's 100 proof, 2 that are in the low 90s, and then a 115.
I don't know. I'm guessing when we're done with these, you're going to want to put them in an order. Mm-hmm. Those 2 there, I don't know. So far, my opinion, they're both easy. They're both easy drinkers. Neither one is something I would crave at this point.
That's fair. On that one, really the only thing I truly picked up is the caramels and the vanillas. Mm-hmm. It was a very light, a light pour. If I had to guess, which I know that I'm never good at this, I'm going to guess it's the 90 proof, just because I felt it was not as bold or...
Right. That's fair. I don't know. I really don't remember, guys, from when I poured them earlier, what we're having. I should know what we're having, but...
On to number 3.
Are you getting anything on the nose?
Yeah, I'm getting just a tiny bit of sweetness, a little bit of vanilla. I think definitely brown sugar is what I'm picking up.
There's definitely no heat there, and I'm not really getting any.
Nice sweet pour.
I feel like that's the sweetest
It is.
yet.
It is very sweet. Again, notes of the vanilla, the caramel. Kind of consistent with the first pour, to be honest. In flavor, I'm not picking up that cherry note that I got on one. At least not this time around.
I'm getting a pretty heavy brown sugar flavor on that one.
Mm.
halfway in to the 5. Thus far.
Yep.
That one would be my number 1.
Really, number 3 would?
For this line, and I think what it's offering to us, that would be.
Me at the moment. Of course, we have 2 more and we need to go through them again.
We gotta have them.
I'd say number 1.
Okay.
Had that creaminess and then it finished with that cherry note
So
for
do
me.
you like that creamy?
I do. Do you not?
I feel like I like that creamy more on a higher proof. I think I like that creamy more when there's some proof to kind of go with it.
Never know. Could be the 115 proof just drinking
Yeah,
later.
could be. Could be. Never know.
Sometimes I think that he really does know what order he put them in. He just wants to fool me and act like he doesn't.
I do not. I do not.
Yeah, I like the nose on number 4. It's barely there, but when you can get it, it's so sweet and so, I don't know, it's like a great big sweet hug. It's nice.
You're gonna like that because I get a lot of that creamy.
Very creamy. Again, the caramel, the vanilla, the hints of the brown sugar, the char. I'm getting a little bit more char with this one than I think I've gotten with.
Yeah, there's maybe a little more heat with number 4 than there has been with any.
Nice and smooth though. It's a really nice smooth.
The brown sugar's there again. Very smooth. The heat is not overwhelming at all, but I think it's more prominent than it has been.
I don't know, that one's really good. I'm anxious when I go back through if I feel the same way I did about 1 when I first tasted it, now that I've had 4, because it's going to be, right now I feel a close call between 1 and 4.
I see that for you because the creamy I thought was really there,
Yeah.
which it was on 1 as well.
It's very good. Number 5 has a nice nose too. Again, it's almost, it's very similar to the nose on number 4, to be honest. It's very, very close. Just that sweetness, and it's just comforting. It's just a nice comforting.
Yeah, it's very mellow, I would say.
I think I have a problem when I say a nose of a bourbon's very comforting. It's like a comfort food, makes me warm and fuzzy.
Now that, so far we haven't gone back through them, but at this point, 3 is still going to be up to my first place. And I think 5 is going to come in right behind number 3 for me. That's really nice. It doesn't really give you, I get the brown sugar in it, but it's not a really sweet, it's not a real sweet taste. The finish is kind of, just flows like,
It does.
It flows right into the finish. These none of these have a lot of complexity, I don't think.
No, you're right. There's not 1,000 flavors hitting your palate at once.
No, so it's kind of like you have to look at the line and say, okay, here's what they're offering. And here's how, I like the way this one presents over the way this one presents. They're all very similar, but yet different.
This is the first time I've had these since whiskey club
Yeah,
night.
yeah, we haven't had any.
And I can definitely see how I rated these all similar that night, because I'm going to have a hard time because number 1 stood out in front of number 2 and 3. However, number 1, 4, and 5 are challenging for me because they really finish nice. I feel like I got a hint of the dried fruit and stuff like that on the end of the number 5. Not the cherry note, but it was a very nice sweet finish, kind of fruity, and so it was a nice finish.
I really only got the char on number 4.
Honestly,
I didn't get char anywhere but there.
I got hints of the oak and the char on all of them, but number 4 for me was strong enough for me to say, hey, I'm tasting some char.
Yeah.
When I first started drinking bourbon or whiskey, I really didn't like that char flavor. It just really turned me away. However, now I kind of look for it, and I want to see it.
Yeah, I agree. I think for me, when we started, that was a characteristic that I didn't like.
Right.
Where now it's a characteristic that I look for.
Correct. Yeah.
I want that. And maybe it's because it kind of tends to go with the higher proof, so that's what we feel, that's what we relate to it. I don't know, but I think to me that's what it is.
It's just that flavor profile that is more fulfilling.
Yeah, so if I
the
can get
palate.
that char flavor profile out of a lower proof, I'm happy.
Yeah, it's hard to get on a lower proof.
It is.
Very hard.
It is.
All right, so now we're going to go 5.
Yeah, we'll come back 5 through
Okay.
1.
We'll try to do this rapidly so you don't have to sit here and... That's funny. I picked number 5 up, and this time, like as it came to my nose, I got that tobacco. I really enjoy that tobacco brown sugar nose. I said it was a nice nose, but it's a really, really nice noses.
Overall, this lineup, I think, price-wise, it's a good solid lineup.
For the pricing, absolutely, except the 1924.
Which is a little steep.
That's the one I wanted to hunt this
Yeah.
year. Luckily, we were able to obtain it, and we did have a little pour of it last night, just to get the bottle opened, to get rid of the neck pour, because I didn't want to have the neck pour tonight. It was good last night, though.
It was, yeah,
we
it was
literally
good.
just had a tiny
Yeah,
pour.
and we really, literally nursed that. But the granddaughter was here with us, and she was playing, and we had a movie on, and I think my pour took me most of the movie.
Yeah.
I don't know, it's just a really safe line.
It is.
There's nothing crazy in there.
They're all nice pours. But I like the cheaper Old Foresters. Is it 80 proof? Oh, I'm sorry.
There is an 80.
No, 86 proof.
86.
And 100 proof. And they're only in the 20s.
Yeah.
And they're really good too. I would honestly just have a pour of those. And I think it's just really because they just have that nice Kentucky bourbon taste, the vanillas, the caramels, what you want in a. They're not the big, bold, high, proof ones, but they're nice, smooth pour.
They're really not presenting themselves as differently coming back through as they did going through the first time.
A little bit for me. Like number 3 was like probably my number 2 going that way at first. But after coming back, it may be number 2, but it's not going to be. Do you remember which one's the 1924 in the lineup?
I don't really.
Okay.
I think I do, but it's really a guess. I mean, that was dinner ago.
The nose on number 1. Gosh, it's good. The nose on number 1 and number 5 are the best. They just, great noses. I think I almost like the nose on number 1 better though. I don't know.
Wow.
All right, ready for me to line these up?
Whatever you are.
Now, I just want to say these are all good pours, no matter how they rank. They're all good. But I can tell you these top 2 are even better.
So
I wouldn't turn my nose up at any of these, is all I'm saying.
This is really the most mixed up lineup I think you and I have ever had.
Well, how about that?
Like we're completely different.
Okay, so my number 1, let's do mine.
Let's do yours.
My number 1 is pour number 1.
Okay.
Okay.
Your number 1 is pour number 1. So your number 1 is, we'll put these in order up here as yours, okay? So 1910.
Which is a 93 proof.
93 proof is your number 1.
Okay, my number 2.
Wait a minute now. So that was my number 4.
Okay. You know what? How about we put them in my order and then we'll put them in your order.
Okay. Let's do that.
My number 2 was number 5.
Okay. Your number 2 is the 1920.
All right.
115 proof.
My number 3 is number 4.
Which is 1897. 100 proof.
My number 4 is number 3.
And that is the 1924.
And my number 5 is number 2, which I did say was the 90 proof. On my notes.
1870.
So, here's what I have to say. The 1924 is not worth double the price.
No, it's not. It really is. It's not a bad bourbon.
No,
but it's
no,
just that.
not
It's
bad.
just, it's not a bad bourbon.
But MSRP at a 115-ish, it's not worth 115.
No.
It's great. It is great. If it was in the
That
50s and 60s,
It
just
should
like
fall
the
right
other,
in line with the rest of the,
like its
with the rest
family,
of the line. Yeah.
yeah,
It's
it
not.
would be great.
It doesn't warrant that price.
It does not. Kind of sad about that, I'm not going to lie, because I really was excited to get it, and it's still good, and I'm going to enjoy it, so that's not the issue. But I'm kind of, I was hoping it would come in number one.
Well, and I'm going to tell you that for me it did.
It did?
It did. It
Okay.
was number 3, was my number 1.
Okay, so put them in your order.
But that, I'm not saying that that makes it worth the money. I agree with you 100%. It was the best flavor profile for me in this lineup tonight.
Mm-hmm.
But if we're looking at price, I wouldn't go out and get it for that.
Yep.
Okay, so that was my number 1. My number 2 was the 1897. So 200 proofs in a row. Then I go to number 5, which is the 1920. Then I go to the 1910.
And then the 90
And
proofs
then
in
the
the
90
last.
proof should be the last, right?
Yep.
Yep, 1870.
Which makes
my
perfect
lineup.
sense for us, the 90 proof coming in last.
For both.
Yes, for both of us.
Yeah.
So I don't know how you guys want to take this. To Bryan, the 1924 is the first in the line and worth going out there and seeking. To me,
Worth going out and seeking. Yes,
At
and,
MSRP,
yes and no. It
but
is
if
worth
it was-
going out and seeking. It was the best flavor profile in the lineup for me tonight. However, like we said, it's not worth, to me, the 120. I think 125 is actually retail.
MSRP was showing that like 115.
Okay, so even at 115. Listen, at 75, I think it's too much. I think it needs to be, like you said,
More in line.
down with the
others.
rest of the family.
So the highest, the 115 proof, which is the 1920 is $61.99. The MSRP here in Ohio is $61.99. So honestly, you're right. The 1924 should be more around the $65.99, $69.99 maybe.
But that's it,
But yeah,
max.
yeah.
And unfortunately, you're not going to find it for that.
Oh, you're not.
Prices aren't going to come down.
You're not. Because I don't know how much they're going to release of this.
Right.
It's a 10-year-old.
I guess my final take on 1924 is, I think it's a decent bourbon. I think it's a good pour. I wouldn't bother trying to find it for the price.
No, and I think maybe some of the flavors would come through if they didn't proof it down to 100 proof. Like if they would have put it like at the 115
Yeah.
proof, like the 1920.
And that's very possible if they'd have just, maybe that would have been a great cask strength or something.
Yeah, I don't know if they would have done that, but like proofed it up a little bit more.
Yeah. Because really, to have 2 of them at 100 proof, what's the point?
Yeah,
Somebody's got to be more than that.
yeah, it needs to be proofed up a little bit. And so if this is a celebration of the 100th year from 1924 to 2024, let's make it 124 proof.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah.
Let's have a
Something, there
party.
just needs to be something done a little bit different with it if they want to justify that price. Now, are people going to buy it? Absolutely.
We did.
We did, and we had a hard time getting it. So
Yeah.
In fact, I don't know that it's still available in Ohio.
It is not. It's still not on OHLQ.
This bottle,
Did I say that right? OHLQ?
OHLQ,
Yeah.
that bottle I think Mike told you they got in Kentucky, right?
They did.
So,
I'll admit, with tax, I paid $150 for it. So
yeah.
that's what Mike paid for it, and down in Kentucky. So I paid over MSRP because it was on my hunt list. Brian and I agreed this year.
And it wasn't an awful amount of money over MSRP, so.
Right, we could each have 5 whiskeys or bourbons that we could hunt this year to get.
Yeah.
And that was one of mine. So, am I a little bit disappointed in that? Yeah.
Oh, I think that's fair.
I am
That's fair to
a
say.
little bit disappointed. However, the Woodford Batch Proof just got released a week or so ago, and it's not going to disappoint. I just got to get my hands on it.
Are you sure?
And I will. I don't think any of your hunts have been released yet.
No.
I think we're still waiting.
And here's the thing about the Woodford, really, is you're going to be looking at the same kind of MSRP as that.
I know. I have very expensive taste.
No, that's not my point. My point is, based on last year's batch of your Woodford, at that MSRP price point, it runs circles around that.
Oh,
That's where I'm going.
absolutely. And probably our next show, again, Friday night, we had a blast. We had a great time with the group that was here. And Mark was nice enough to bring an open bottle of a double oaked
Yep.
Woodford.
Yep.
So Brian and I are going to do a review of that.
And I just had a little taste of that the other night.
You had
Out of
like
your
out of
glass.
my glass. I mean, he barely had any.
And it was just the taste that I had was
And it's
phenomenal.
the 2024 release because I knew they just got it
Yep.
when they were down in Kentucky. So I'm anxious to do a review of that. We have not been lucky enough to get our hands on a bottle of that.
We have not.
So I'm excited to do that review. It's not one that was on my hunt list. I'm very grateful that he and his wife were nice enough to share it with us.
Oh, absolutely. Yep.
Yeah. I think they both know that I'm a Woodford fan, and so they brought it so that I could taste it, and I'm very grateful that they did that because that was
Yes.
very sweet.
Mark, Casey, if you guys are watching,
thank
you
you.
very much. We did. We really did have a great time the other night. I think everybody had a good time that was here. And I guess in wrapping this up, the Old Forester line, my take, it's a solid lineup.
It's
It
very
really
solid.
is. You're not going to be disappointed in any of it. You are, in my opinion, the 1924 going to be disappointed in what you've paid for what you get. Is that a fair way to put that?
I would. I
It's
don't
not
think
a bad-
it's over
it's
100.
not a bad pour.
I don't think it's worth over $100 by no means.
Certainly
if it was
not.
priced with its family, the Whiskey Row series family, in that $50s and $60s,
It'd be a solid
buy
pour.
it.
Yep, but it's not.
Yeah, I'm kind of disappointed, but I'm not because I'm excited. I got it. I'm excited that we were able to put it with its family here.
It was on the big list,
It was.
and we got it.
And it's a great pour. It is a great pour. I'm just saying the ones that sit on the shelves all the time that you can go get,
You might as well just get those.
yeah, go get those.
Yeah. And maybe the 1924 will be on the shelf at some point where you can go get it, but
Not
I
right
think it'll sit there for a while.
Yeah, but I'm very excited to have it. So thanks, the Taters, for getting that
Yes.
into our collection.
Yeah, that was awesome to get that. It really was. So, guys, as we always say, if you've got any questions, drop them in the comments. Be sure to hit the like button, subscribe button, share us, tell your friends. We just had our 500 subscriber giveaway.
We did.
That is actually going en route to its destination tomorrow.
It is.
1,000 is the next flashing light on
It is.
the scale.
And I haven't told Bryan this, but I think next weekend I am going to drag him up to Columbus. There are 3 distilleries that I want to visit on Saturday.
Great. I'm all for it.
But he has to drive.
Yeah, which means I can't drink. We need one of the kids.
We do. Maybe we can get one of them. All right, everybody. Have a great week. Tonight's Sunday. Most of us all have to go to work tomorrow.
Back to the grind. Whether it's going somewhere or going to the shop, which Shona thinks is all fun and games.
It is.
It's not. It's not. Anyway.
Have a great week.
Have a great week. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time, guys.
Thank you.